Got something to say, no matter the topic. Then come and join us on the Speaking It.
Real. Yo, what up, Carlos? You're live already. So say hi, Carlos.
What's up?
You see, normally I started it a little different today. Normally it's just me. I say what we're gonna do and how we're
Yeah, I feel honored. I'm wondering what did I do to earn this?
I just clicked you on by mistake, so I just left you
Oh,
on.
I see. It was an error. It was a clerical error.
It was a clerical error, but hey, look,
I got you.
this is the way we're gonna do it. I mean, I'm gonna be looking up at times because I'm watching the NBA finals. But it's gonna be kind of cool. We got a guest on over here. We have a gentleman by the name of Ozzy that's very conversational wise, pretty good actually. We talk a lot of shit all the time. So I'm gonna bring him on. Say, Ozzy, welcome to our show. This is a place where you're gonna be able to talk as much shit as you want, as much truth as you want.
This is the space, my friend. When you unload,
But you have to speak it real. You cannot speak for fake. You cannot lie. You can't bullshit. You speak as real as you can, as real as you are, and you know what? And we go from there. You know,
I will still refer to him as Guido.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey man, anytime. I told you, you come out whenever you want. We'll sit here. We'll talk whatever crap comes out and take it from there. You know, I mean, it's always fun to
Speaking of when talking crap, Frank, you're supposed to be rich now. Last time we were on the show, you said you were about to become a 7-figure earner. You got a raise or something. You were just banking. So when are you buying this damn microphone?
We'll talk about that later. Actually, it might take a little bit longer now because you see, I love the way you bring me into these conversations. And
he has debts to pay.
Well, yes, I got a raise. Yes, everything was raise. But what happens is that I'm losing 2 of my roommates. Encounters.
See that Frank does that to himself subconsciously. He's like, sweet, I'm banking. Now it's time to shoot my toes off. Boom.
Well, let's see. I kicked the other guy out. Right?
There it is.
You mess with my existence. You know what I should do?
We need to have this is a special. This is like a part of the show. Frank's exploits as a landlord.
I mean, what I should do is I should actually go on my phone, right? Copy the link, and I should send it to him. Be like, hey, look, you're speaking a real famous.
Wait a minute, bro. Wait, we just touched base on being ultra petty, and we're doing it again. We're reaching that level. Oh man.
How is that being petty? He's gonna be he's gonna be speaking a real famous.
This is
because I'm talking.
Where's my money, bitch? Segment of the show.
It's what he kind of he's such a great guy that I had to kick him out.
Frank just doesn't see. I thought here you adding salt to the wound. This is so beneath you. I thought we were better than this. What happened to the emails? What happened to all that progress?
They're still there.
What happened to the good Frank?
The good Frank is still there.
The good Frank is still there? I do not see this good Frank. What I see is pure, unadulterated evil right now.
No, man. No,
this is
bro.
unnecessary pain you are inflicting on someone.
Actually, no, I'm not inflicting pain on them. You know what?
Here, watch this link and observe me and my friends talk shit about you.
As a matter of fact,
That's called bullying. That sounds like bullying, honestly.
no, it's not bullying at all. It's
Oh.
speaking it real.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
look, watch this. You know what? I'm not gonna go into details. I'm not gonna send him crap. Actually, I did, but he's not gonna he's not gonna listen to me anyways. But I've come to the conclusion.
This is how Frank's kids were born, by the way. I wasn't. No, I did.
You know what happens in the following time. Look. And you know what? We're gonna name this segment since we're in June and it's Men's Mental Health Month. That's what we're gonna call this, mental health, right? We always got to speak a little bit about mental health, right? When we think that we're kind of doing all this progress.
6
right?
minutes in and I'm crying. This is bad.
When we think that we're doing all this wonderful progress.
Wow. Yep.
In
The seesaw
theory,
went in the other direction, and you were sliding back, my friend. Sliding back.
That's exactly what happened. Because
now that you've already given and given him the courtesy of providing him access to our show, why don't you lay out for us the adventures you had this week, Frank? What happened?
Look, long story short.
No short shit. Long story. Let us have it.
No, man, look, man, this is simple.
I want to hear all of it. Come on.
All right, so we know when you mess with me and you keep messing with me,
Mhm.
I may get upset. Or before in the past, I would get really upset and I lose my complete shit. Right?
This was old Frank.
Yes, that was old Frank. So I think within the past 6-7 months, a lot of changes, a lot of talk. What is it? What's that book you said?
Oh, self-talk. Yes, self-talk.
Yeah, a lot of self-talk, a lot of
Right.
books on
Positive reframing.
Yeah, mental reframing, self-talk.
Mental reframing.
It's great stuff. Just not to interrupt, but I love that book. I mean, even I have been like, you make all this progress and then you slip back quite a bit. But because of that book, I didn't fall back any deeper than I normally would have. That book, good shit. Yeah.
No, and that's pretty much what kind of happened to me last week. Right?
Gotcha.
What happened? I think we did the show Thursday last week. Yes, we did.
Okay.
We did it Thursday.
Probably. Right.
So we get off around midnight because that's how we do things, And whatever, I'm laying in bed and I'm like, man, I'm hot. This is about maybe like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And
our guest is getting drunk. This is awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's water. It's water. It's water.
Yeah, of course it is.
And
yes, Guido, it's water.
It's water.
And I go outside. I leave my room. I go outside. And when I close my door from on the other room, I hear fumbling and I hear a click. And I'm like, does this guy have the window open? It will explain as to why the AC would just blow. So whatever. I walk out the front door. I look up because his window's right there. Window's closed. All right, you know what? I was just hearing things. Come back in my room. Maybe about a good 45 minutes to an hour later, AC's still blowing, and I'm hot as shit. I'm like, man, this is not right.
That's frustrating. I'll admit that's frustrating as fuck. Go on.
I look at it on my phone, and it's at 74 degrees. And the AC's trying to get to 73, but it's not getting there. So I walk out of my room again. I hear the fumbling. I hear click.
All I needed was a squeaking like a mouse.
Yeah. And I was like, no, this can't be. This guy really has the window. It has to be the window. Go downstairs. I look. Window's closed. All right. Come back upstairs. Now I get smart. I open my door and I close it. I don't go inside. I stay outside. I hear the fumbling around. I walk my happy ass downstairs. I go over the stairs that creaks so he doesn't hear me. When I open the door, this person, not to say anything else,
He was gonna say motherfucker. I just know he was gonna say that. Go ahead.
has the audacity when I look up to go hi and wait at me. And I'm like, hey man, I told you about the window. I want you to get the fuck out of my house by the end of the month. I don't care. Look at
So
him
you
breathe.
gave him till the end of the month.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Okay, that's
At the
good.
end of the month,
I mean,
leave.
that's a
that's a
That's
start.
fair. That's 2
that's
weeks.
start. Yeah,
That's fair.
That's
All right.
fair.
yeah.
So whatever.
Pero, here we go.
He closes the window. I come upstairs and I pass out. I was already tired. It was like fucking 4:00 in the morning, dude. I had to be up by 6. I jump in my car. I wake up the next morning or that morning, jump in my car. I go to work. Mind you, did I tell you that I installed cameras in my house?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay, so
Or you might have mentioned it. Yeah.
so I installed cameras in my house because of this fucking guy.
Okay.
So as I'm at work, the camera fucking goes off. And I open it and he's talking shit to the other guy that lives in my house.
So they're talking shit about the landlord.
Man, that is
No,
that is
Did you hear
pure
what
high
Zach was
school,
saying?
pure high school right there, man.
The other guy was pretty cool. The other guy was
Hey,
like,
bro,
nah,
that
man,
guy's
he's not
talking
like
shit
that.
about you,
And
bro.
he no, because I heard the conversation, bro. There's no
Oh
way.
yeah. Go ahead.
So
Mhm.
all right, I got you. Dude, I had a whole day of work. A full day of work just with those squirrels going.
Ruminating. Oh, that is awful. When that
And I'm
shit
like,
just sits in your head, baking and
no,
stewing.
Yeah.
it's fermented in there, bro. And I
Yeah,
go
bro.
ahead and I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna get home and everything that I know that's mine in this house that he uses, I'm gonna put it right back there in my. Mind you, I got home. I got every single fucking dish, every single fucking cup, every single mug, every single fork, knives, spoons, pizza cutters, rice cooker, pots, blenders, toaster, can opener, you name it.
This is the
Like a
kind of
s-
scene that requires like a soundtrack while he's doing
Yes.
this. Just-
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And what do you call it? I grab all that and I put it up in my room. And whatever. I leave. I take my son to go to a party.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Excellent.
So he goes to the party, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go back home and get some stuff. And as I get home, I see he has a mess all over the place. So I grab everything and I put it right by his door. I knock on his door. I go, hey, I want you to know something. That chair that you sit your happy ass on, I'm taking it. You wanna know why? Because it was
Report.
my massage chair. I'm like, you made my life hell, now I'm gonna make your life hell. Like I didn't care about anything, but let me tell you, he came out that fucking door real fast, like he was gonna eat my head off. And I'm like, dude, you know what? I think you need to leave. You gotta get out of here. You gotta get the fuck out of my house. I'm already leaving. I said, no, you gotta get the fuck out of my house today. I don't want you here. I don't give a fuck. Oh, but you gotta give me back the month's rent. I said, dude, I'll give you half because we're already halfway through the month almost. So you know what? You're getting shit. You're getting just half of your rent and get the fuck out of my house.
Nice
I
emails
know.
be gone.
Nope, there was no nice.
There was no nice emails here.
It was get the fuck out. I don't fucking want you here. I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck what you do. I don't give a fuck. That's exactly how it was. Get the fuck out.
It's a lot of fucks.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
no, man. Self-talk went to shit. That's just
Yeah, bro. All that stuff. I want to be a better person last week. You know, I
Mierda.
changed my tune. I turned over a leaf. That's all gone.
Nah, man.
No. Look, it was all gone. All right, because you know what, I didn't black out. I remembered everything I said to him. You know, so that's progress.
Yes.
The problem
it is
came.
Progress.
The problem came that I reverted back to an individual, right? To pettiness. I reverted back to somebody that I don't want to be, and this whole thing made me really realize that I thought I was more ahead of the game, or ahead of the feelings and ahead of the mastering of my than what I really was. I mean, I look at it now and I'm like, dude, I took 25 steps forward because I want to say I was about 25%,
And then got yanked by the bungee cord all the way back.
and then I came back, and then I want to say that I came back about maybe 15%.
I mean, it's fine. Let's be honest. Self-talk and that kind of positive affirmation and repetition, it works, but you're still human. It doesn't mean it's going to cure you from like being a dick once in a while. And that's
Absolutely.
it's still fine. It's fine. It's going to happen.
Look,
So,
I mean,
and it sounds
anytime,
like, you were putting up with this shit for a while anyway. We've heard stories about this character for quite some time now. He's been he's been a part of our show. Like he belongs. He should have his own square here on the screen at this point. He should.
I mean, I don't know if he's listening. I did send him the link because I sent out the link to a group of people,
man.
but I don't think he's on. I think he blocked me.
I seriously doubt he would come on here to listen to this. I mean, unless he's
that guy does
punishment.
not have the balls to do that. I think that if I were to do that, Speaking of Real will go to shits. Because I think
I think it would get the highest ratings ever.
It might. Oh, by the way, remember last week I told you that I work with some guy in the Philippines, right?
Yes. I would love to talk to him because you said something interesting. I'm like, I'd love to hear what he has to say, but go ahead.
He clarified what I said. He's like, I didn't say that, your country's a mess. I go, no, you didn't say it for the sake.
But he wasn't wrong. Go ahead.
That's what I told him. I go, you didn't say it, but you implied it. You implied that we're a mess. And he was just laughing off, but I would love to bring him on here.
Yeah, bring him on.
Filipino friend, you know who you are. When you're listening to this show, and I know you're going to listen to it because you tell me every single week, tell me you want to come on. Okay, unfortunately, you might be sleeping at that time because it's 10 o'clock in the morning where you're at right now.
Bring it.
Dude, this guy works midnight, bro. And all he can tell you about working midnights, or Guido can tell you about working midnights, and so can I.
I had to change my name because he kept calling me Guido. So I want to make it easy for him.
Edit the show.
Circling back to what Frank had said earlier about like going backwards and stuff. I think someone said that you learn more through failure than you do success, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So failure and success are imposters, right? So life is just one big lesson, and so the biggest teacher for you will always be failure, right?
Right.
That's the thing that's gonna tell you when you change your input so that you can get a better output, right? And so this was a test. Yeah, you failed it, but what did you learn about yourself from this?
I learned that I wasn't completely as good as I thought I was.
Exactly. So
that you're still an asshole, and that's okay.
I learned that there's still work that can be done.
Yeah.
That it's not just everything is hunky-dory, and that the path that I'm on is a long path. It's not that short of a path. That is one thing that I've learned for sure throughout this progress that I've done, and the whole self-healing and the whole reading the books. Dude, I've gone through fucking 5 books in less than 6 months.
Nice.
Explain that to me. I don't even know. But it's funny because I mean, I'm not reading them. It's more I'm listening to them, and you get something from each book. You know, some books you just don't get nothing out of, and it's like, I heard this one already in the first, but repetition's good. You know, because a lot of one thing that I have noticed about these books, especially I've gone through. I'm on the third one, and this one has like two authors, two different people.
Uh-huh.
But out of the first two books I had, I think what was her name, Nicole Lepero or something like that. On the third one that I'm on now, on her third book that I'm on now, she shares it with somebody, and they all like kind of mingle together. They coincide, and a lot of the stuff that she says in the first book, she's saying in this book, and she said a part of it in the second book. So it's you pull what you got to pull out of it, and there's stuff that it's just repetitious.
I'm just surprised you know how to read. I'm playing. I'm joking.
You know what I love?
Remember,
about,
he
you
said
wanna know
he
what I
said
love being about this?
audiobooks. He said
You wanna know-
audiobooks. He listens
what?
to this in the car.
Look, you know what? The hell with both of you. All right, I'm just gonna do this show myself because you guys are just fucking killing me right now. I don't understand. You know, that's the good thing that I can still kick you guys out. All right. You know what? Whatever you do, say something that I'm not gonna like. I'm just gonna. I'm gonna flush.
No, but it's
Yeah.
good. It's good that you're reading. It's good that you're improving yourself. I think we all have some things that we need to change about ourselves, and the easiest thing is to change the body, but the hardest thing is to change the mind.
Yeah.
And so that is a long path, and I appreciate that you're able to share with us and speak honestly about the situation and what you learned and how you're going to proceed forward. Honestly, it's good.
Well, look, a little backstory on this show, and I don't know if Ozzy's ever heard it or not, right? I mean, Carlos and I started the show when Trump got kicked out of office, in a sense, right? When not kicked out, when Biden won the election. There we go. Or depending on how you put it, or
Yeah,
Biden
I'm
stole
not sure
the
that's right
election,
either.
or people cheated. But at the end of the day, Biden ended up being president, right? I've said it 100 times. I really don't care much about Trump. All right. I think he's an idiot, but whatever. It is what it is. All right. But we started the show on based on politics. We've always ventured off into my life for some reason. All right.
Yeah, we had a session called Counseling with Carlos, and it was all about helping.
Look, I've had instances where
It was all about helping Frank.
I lost friendships because of my religious beliefs, because of where I stand politically. And Carlos and I will talk about all this. And we'll talk about my day. You know, sometimes I will bring things up on the show that I wouldn't say it was about me, but a lot of people that know me will be like, that's Frank. What's wrong with Frank today? And
What's
I've
wrong
always
with
used
Frank
the
today?
show, and especially Guido. There we go. That's great. And especially and
There we go.
especially now, or the past after we got through, the politics, because there's so much politics you can talk. You know, after we got over that, we started just venturing off into just social issues, mental stuff, and we talk a lot about mental health. And I think this year we've spoken more about it than in previous times. And I think it has a lot to do with I was always very like, mental health. What are you talking about? I don't get it, because I never thought I was going through it, and
Yeah, man.
and when you really sit there and you look at it, you're like, man, I'm really going through it. And I'm a firm believer of I'd rather put shit out there and talk it out, because it helps the individual, and you never know who's really listening that you can't help. Because that's just the way life is. You shit happens in life, and you learn from it, and you keep going. And
Absolutely.
failure is not an option, but it's gonna happen at times, and you just gotta pick yourself up.
It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
So
It'll happen. But that's all good, man. Keep reading, keep doing, keep going, and stop being such a dick of a landlord.
hold on. Yeah, well, I have. I already rented out that room. I already got to rent it out.
Oh, you already?
Oh, I'm
you already
sure,
got it rented
man.
out? How much
Yeah,
are you
man.
charging for a room, honestly? Because you're still in Miami, right?
Yeah.
You're charging like $2,000 for the room, right? At least.
No.
Wow.
No.
Damn.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
Nah, honestly, I asked,
Yo.
depending on, my asking price is 900.
Yeah, that's fair.
not
For a
bad.
room with house access,
bad,
that's
yeah.
very fair.
Correct.
In
Where do you
today's
live?
market.
In
Where
the
do I
area. I
live?
don't want to put. Yeah, I don't want to get you like.
By the zoo.
Okay, so
Do you know where the army base is at?
yeah. So you
Right
should be
around there.
fetching at least 1,200 actually.
I
room?
do that if I rent out this.
Yeah.
If I rent out this room here that I'm in, then I ask 1,200
Oh, because of the bathroom access?
because it has a private bathroom.
Okay.
Ah.
Then I'll
Gotcha.
rent that out at 1,200. But outside of that, no. And
So-
you know what? I like my privacy. I like this room.
So there's something called price marketing. I don't know if you guys know about this stuff. Like this back when I used to be a social marketer or whatever, right? People
Okay.
honestly have like an opinion about the price of stuff, right? So there's a
Right.
there's a Spanish saying that says "lo barato sale caro," right?
Right.
So we can go ahead. We can look at something that we perceive as a lower value based on dollar quantity versus something that has a higher dollar value, right? And then we attribute more value to the thing that costs more, obviously, right? So to that extent, I think that $900 given the market, you might be under, and you're getting. So there's a stigma that goes, and I hate to repeat it, but I don't know if it's more anecdotal than it is factual. There's no
Mhm.
data that I've come across, but higher rents have had a higher, a better quality tenant usually, right? That's kind of bad to say, but like the more a person who's a better wage earner is more responsible and therefore might be a better tenant, right?
Mhm.
And so maybe you should leverage that to your benefit, right? So 900 might not be the right area for you because it seems a little low, honestly.
Well,
That'll be my opinion.
possibly. But I could tell you that sorry. I don't want to go too high because there is a big market out here for that. And so when the higher you go, then people are not going to rent.
There's
So,
a
I
sweet
mean-
spot. There's a sweet spot.
And that
Maybe-
sweet spot
maybe-
right now is between 800 and 900 bucks.
Okay, because like I don't know, man. Like some of the horror stories that I just heard now. I mean, it seems like up the rent and maybe you can get somebody who's a little more, not as bad.
But he might have to wait a little longer too.
All
Yeah.
right. The thing is, look, what happened to me was at the very, very beginning, I not to go too deep into it, but I had some financial issues that I needed taken care of immediately.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so I was asking $950.
The cartels were after him. He didn't have time to wait.
So
you
So
your
what
supply.
yeah. So what
He got
happened?
high on his own supply. He knew he screwed up.
Yeah.
He didn't listen to Frank. Frank from the movie. He didn't listen to Frank. And here
So
we
I
are.
had to rent out the rooms as soon as possible. And the only thing that I did do, which because at the end of the day, my son lives here with me too.
Mm.
So what I did do was run a background check on both individuals.
Oh yeah.
That's good. You have
know,
to
gotta.
nowadays.
And a funny story though on that. So The first guy that came in, I ran like a super soft check on him. Nothing crazy. Okay. Very soft. All right. Guy has no records. Perfect. All right. And 3 days of him staying here, like, oh yeah, I learned this at the jail. But he said it in Spanish.
Oh,
I said it in
snap.
Spanish,
Wow.
and that's the guy that's still here. That's the guy that's still here. He said it in Spanish, and I remember I left my house, and I have about an hour trip to go to work with no traffic.
Wow.
He had
Okay.
all that time to think about that one
So
comment.
that whole time that I'm fucking driving to work, I'm like, did this guy say jail?
Did he say?
Did he say he learned this in jail?
No way.
No, I
No
can't.
way he said that.
He and dude, I got to work. I jumped on the computer, and I paid for a worldwide background check on this guy.
Mm-hmm. Bad news.
No, bro, the guy came out clean as a whistle. Clean,
Oh.
clean.
The
Ah,
databases that you
oh.
needed to look at were not accessible.
Maybe international.
Exactly.
No, I looked at international. I looked
And
everything
nothing. Wow.
and nothing. And I was like, damn. I mean, it showed everything that he had told me, that he's from Uruguay, that he lived in Venezuela, he lived in Colombia, then he came to the States, and then he went back to Uruguay, then he came back to the States. And I was like, okay, everything kind of adds up. But
That is a laundry list of trouble. Wow.
yeah, and then I was like, well, I guess the whole jail thing, I must have heard something wrong, and I thought so. So whatever. So I get home from work. We're talking, eating shit, and blah blah blah. And there goes the fucking jail talk again. I'm like, bro, what do you mean jail? I go, I just paid almost $200 for a fucking worldwide background check on you, and I don't find it. What do you mean you were in jail? And he looks at me and goes, I was never in jail. I work at the jail. I was like,
That's a good one.
fuck me.
Had to go back to his self-talk book, be like, I assumed I was wrong.
Yes. I made assumptions.
I made assumptions
Yeah.
on
You
someone's
gotta pray
character.
to the self-talk God.
Yeah. So that was that guy. That was that
But you know
one.
what? No, consider yourself blessed, I guess, that for the most part, with the exception of one guy, you've had good tenants. Because that can be volatile. That can be a crazy situation.
Mhm.
And that's just with one roommate. You got what, 3, right? 2? 2. Okay, still.
Me,
Whatever. That's
2 other
that's-
people.
2 other
I
people.
saw it.
Okay. Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, I've
the
heard horror stories.
hardest part, I'll tell you, it's been good in the sense where it's helped my son, right? Because my son's one that he leaves shit all over the place.
Mm.
And with these people here, I'm like, hey man, you gotta pick up your shit. And in that case, my son had nothing lying around. The other guy did. So
It's amazing,
you
right?
know,
The kids will step up when it involves other people, but you?
but that's the way they
That's
are.
how we all are, though. That's how we all are, right? I remember when I
Oh,
used to do
man.
the same thing to my mom.
And I
used
told
to
my
have,
kids too. I
like-
said, "Wait till I visit your house. Wait till I visit your
Uh-huh.
house. Start leaving my shoes everywhere. Finish dinner plates and just leave it all over the table, leftovers and all, sitting sideways, crumbs on the floor, banging on the table for more juice. You watch. I am gonna get old. It's gonna get ugly.
Absolutely.
I will
Yeah.
relish in it." Well, man,
So,
good for you.
Carlos,
And when does last question? When does the new tenant arrive?
this weekend.
All right, man, good. So
I mean, this
Yeah.
one.
pick up pretty much right where you left off. Nice.
Well, I was hoping to get 2 in 1.
2 in 1.
2 and 1.
Yeah, in the
You mean the
sense of-
closet?
No. I know a guy. His son is in a tough spot. All right, where he's at right now. he can't have his son staying with him. His son just graduated high school. He's an 18-year-old kid, super bright kid, super smart kid. And I was like, hey, look, you know what? Both the rooms in my house are becoming available. Why don't you move in there with your son? You get one room, he gets another. You have your privacy, he has his. They're $800 a piece. I thought they're $900 a piece. I will leave them to you at 800. Fair enough. So I think. I was told no. He goes, I'll have my son stay here. I'll pay my son's rent. And I'm like, why? You have a chance to be around your kid. Why not? But people are the way they are. They think differently. And so his son's going to be the one living here. He's an 18-year-old kid. Not really worried about it. The kid works. He goes to school. So pretty soon he'll be able to pay his own rent, probably. I just don't think an 18-year-old kid needs to be living on his own just yet. Not in this day and age.
Why not?
Dude, you know what? Just because, you know what? If he's going away to college and he's leaving, let's say, his home city, then you know what? I could understand him living on his own at the dorms. But you have a chance to be with your child, something that you haven't been around them, like living with them for a while. You have that chance to do it. Why not do it?
Okay. So do you know a little more about the story, the background story that you're saying, stuff like that? Or because I'm thinking that that they probably didn't spend enough time when he was a kid.
I know a lot of the story that I would not air out.
Okay.
That I won't do. But I think that you're given an opportunity to hang out more with your kid. And this speaks just for anybody, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, I know you don't have kids, right, Guido? Or you do? Okay.
No, I don't have any kids. I got furry friends, furry children. So I consider those.
Furry children don't last long.
His
What are you
children
talking
are
about? I got an 11-year-old and a
quadrupeds.
13-year-old, bro.
They're all
well,
quadrupeds.
They cost as much as a kid. Trust me.
Oh no, I'm sure they do. But like, I would tell you this: if I had the opportunity to have my oldest living with me, let's go. Let's do it. You're going through a hard time. Let's go. Let's do it. I'm gonna help you through it.
Right.
But don't you think that kind of like stunts a kid a little bit? Because like part of my like adulting, I guess, was facing those problems and try to solve them. Right. I know that the world was different when I was 18 years old versus now, and I guess it's more expensive, right? But you have to kind of like metal sharpens metal, right? Steel sharpens steel, and so like you want to have those types of tough times because that's where you're most, I guess, you develop the most.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that in this day and age, when you really sit there and you look at the situation and you look at kids as a whole, right? Because times are definitely different than what we grew up in nowadays. Okay, I think back in our time, our parents would let us go at 18, 19 years old. It was a much different world than what it is now. Kids nowadays will get lost a lot easier than what we would have. All right. And sometimes you got to hold that hand just a little more and you let go little by little as opposed to just saying, okay, bye.
Yeah, I think it's case by case. I mean, you can tell whether your kid is going to be resilient enough to handle things right off the bat, or if they have shown signs of struggle growing up, then it's safe to say they're going to need a little extra help after they turn 18. So I think you can get a feel for that as you approach that finish line and see what they're going to need afterwards.
Like
Yeah, I
what do
mean,
you what is it that you guys are looking for, honestly? Because I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't have this insight, and I'm kind of curious to see because it's like, what would be the fine line? Like, is he like more independent, more rebellious? If he's more dependent on you guys, like what's like the criteria that would say, yeah, this person needs a little more help?
You can evaluate a lot of things, like school is a key indicator. If they need a lot of assistance in school, they need a lot of help keeping up with just, and I'm not saying that they're bad students, but they need a lot of help with like keeping up with assignments. They need a lot of help with deadlines, responsibilities. They're just not good at managing their time, their schedule. They're easily overwhelmed. You can see all that stuff just by them going to school. So you got to naturally tell yourself, okay, hold on. If they're doing this now in high school, what's going to happen when you send them out there? They're going to fall apart. So right off the bat, you should already have that sense that they might need a little help after all this. Sometimes they're very adamant. Sometimes they're like determined. They want to prove the world that they can do it. And you don't want to be that person that says, no, you can't. So if you have that situation, you let them. You hope for the best, but you prepare because you're sure you're going to get that phone call where they're going to tell you, I'm having a hard time. Like, yeah, okay, I saw that coming. So
I will say this, speaking on about this kid, he does have a real good head on his shoulders. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And when you're talking about, he actually, I was invited to his graduation by him. And and he wasn't the valedictorian, but he spoke at his graduation.
Okay.
And we're talking about a kid that's super smart. Do I think that he's a crash and burn? Probably not. But do I still think that sometimes they do need more guidance? Yeah. In certain aspects of life. Because it's really, you're throwing a kid out to live in somebody's house. Granted, the guy knows me. But still, do you know me that well enough? No.
Yeah, naturally. I mean, I don't think we're sending our kids to go live with random adults. But even in college, like my son, he's living with his roommates, and I told him, I said,
but
hey,
that's different.
Exactly.
It's
But
different.
it's still something he needs to be prepared for. I mean, he lived with either me or his mom, and then I told him, I said, are you ready to live with your friends? He's like, yeah, I can't wait. I said, hey, slow down. That sounds exciting, but you got to understand there's politics. Each one of your friends has issues that you're going to hate. Are you ready to deal with that? Are you ready to deal with the fact that one of your friends may leave towels on the floor? Another one likes to run the hot water out. Third one may not do the dishes. And you are going to have your own share of shit that the other guys aren't going to like. Are you ready to deal with this? It's like,
it's hard.
Understand. This isn't just you and your boys hanging out now. It's easy to go out with your friends on the weekend, have a good time, and go home. When you live with them, you see it all, and it isn't always pretty. So, and things like that. And then classes, like you got to manage your classes. You got to manage when your assignments are due. You got to study your syllabi, all this. And if you've already seen that in high school, they're kind of having a hard time, then you kind of prepare for the fact that they're going to struggle a little bit in college because it takes time. You let them know ahead of time. Sometimes they'll listen and sometimes they don't. I never wanted to, and I still don't, even with my girls who are growing up, never want to be the parent that tells them don't because you can't, or you shouldn't because I don't think it's a good idea, because my mom did that to me and I kind of resent her for that. But you do have to kind of keep in mind that you should at least let them know every possible difficulty that they're gonna face. And if they still want to proceed, then you gotta, as a parent, you gotta kind of sit back and be like, okay, but you know, and hesitate because you know you're gonna get you hope you're wrong, but more often than not, you're not. You're the parent, and you're gonna get that call one day where they're gonna be like super frustrated and just like in the dumps, and you're gonna be like, yeah, this is what I didn't want to hear, but I saw it coming. So then you and then you do what Frank says. You up the support. Like, okay, are you ready to kind of listen now? You willing to kind of like take in what I've been telling you? Do you want to look at things a little differently? And hopefully it works out that way. But again, Guido, back to your original question. You kind of measure it as you go along because every kid's different.
Wow. No, because I think that there's a similarity there between your mother and my father. My dad used to do the same thing to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was always like lazy in school, right? It wasn't because I was smart. I mean, not because I was not smart.
No,
right?
I get it. I get smart people being lazy.
Did you just call yourself stupid?
Huh? What?
No, he called himself lazy.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm saying lazy.
When you're not challenged enough at school, it can bite you in the ass. It can.
Yeah. So my sister, she was like an overachiever, my sister Maria, and she would get straight A's and straight A's. And I remember one time, like, it was in elementary school, and she got a B or something, like in 5th grade, and she almost had like a panic attack, like you know what I'm saying? It was the first and last B she got, and she was like a meltdown. And I saw it, and I go, I don't want that to happen to me, because my parents would like, it was always like this pressure for her to succeed, because my dad would put all this pressure on her, saying, you're gonna take us out of poverty. You're the one who's gonna be the star.
Wow. He said that?
Yeah, you're gonna be the one who's gonna, you're gonna be the only doctor in the family, yada yada yada, right? And it's all this pressure on my sister, right? And then she's feeding the pressure, like she's like what, 12, 13 years old, right?
That's ridiculous. That is so crazy.
Like, right? And so I saw that and I'm thinking, no, I don't want that. Like, I don't want any of that smoke, right? So I started tanking my grades and just like getting a C and a B and a C, right? And my mom,
just to get my dad off my back, I'm gonna earn a few D's here. Fuck this.
Yeah. So my mom and my dad were flipping out. Like, and then literally my dad was telling me, I think you're retarded. Like, I think you have like a learning disability. And I'm like,
no shit.
You know, like,
look who's here.
Hold on. I can't be distracted by the great one who has arrived here, Carlos. So yeah, Guido, bro, that's kind of crazy, man. So see, my issue was growing up, I was very into music. And of course, you know, if I don't know how old you are, Guido.
We got a question for Guido. He's about our age.
All
Guido,
right, so
they're asking, how did your sister end up?
Well, she works as a researcher in the University of Kentucky. She didn't get her doctorate degree. She struggled in university. She went to University of Miami. She struggled. But
too much
she
pressure?
has she has a family of her own.
That's from all that shit she heard growing up.
Hold on. I'm gonna take a wild guess what Sequester 73's next question is. Are you a Trump supporter?
Guido can't reveal that.
No. I'm kind of disappointed with both candidates, honestly, right? I was an original supporter of Bernie. I was a Bernie guy.
Holy shit. He's a communist. Okay.
I like Andrew Yang a lot before he went through that stuff. But these two candidates, I don't know. Like, I have I don't. Okay, so I can't vote for a dude who try to like undermine democracy. Let's be honest. Like that's I don't care if you won or you lost. Like, and for me, like, part of being a man is taking your losses, right? And I can't vote for a man who's not a man. Like, if you lose, you lose, right? That's just my opinion, right? Like,
what you see here, Frank, is incredible restraint on my part.
You know,
this is self-talk right here.
it's you hear the dude, and it's like a baby whining, and it's always about how he lost. Like, no, I want to hear the policies. I want to hear what are you gonna do for us? Like, how are you gonna make us better? Like, there's a threat about AI, who, you know, a lot of people are investing stuff, and that's all. You know, these are the things that are pressing for us. The threats abroad, the internal threats. Like, what is it? What's gonna happen with this country, right? And then you got Biden, who seems like he's lost all the time, and then baby Trump, who's I'm not gonna say it, but I think who identifies like he's a bitch, but identifies as a man. Like, I can't vote for that dude. I'm sorry. You know, like he's like he's I don't know, man. Like, no me pida to vote for a guy who cries all the time.
All right,
Like, he's
Guido,
always
it's been
talking about
great,
the
bro.
past.
It's
Okay,
been
my
great,
bad.
Guido. It's been
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
So you were asked, would you rather die by a shark bite or by electrocution?
I heard this question come up. Where did this come from? Because I heard this on the radio. Why did he say that? Where was that? Carlos, fill me in on that. I know you got that question from somewhere. Because I heard this on the radio. Who said this? Was it Biden? I don't know, but I did hear this question come up. By shark attack or by electrocution? I saw it on Twitter. That's what it was. Somebody posted that. Like, where did that come from? Real quick, going back to the previous conversation, and then I'll have words with Guido here. So your sister, real quick, because Carlos showed up and kind of derailed us. God damn it.
He tends to do that, doesn't he?
So you think there's a lot of that pressure applied? Hold on, don't post that. Don't post that. We'll get to it. A lot of your sister's struggles in college came from your dad. So, like, yeah, I was into music a lot, and since you're in our age group, you know, we grew up with a lot of like those rock bands and metal bands back in the day, and I was playing bass and everything, and I wanted to continue, and my mom just like, no, you cannot. I forbid it. Blah blah blah. I ended up going to college and got an education degree, and I always look back at that, man. Like, I've tried to write music. I even DJ'd for quite a while, but I never had the what's the word I want to use? The drive to really take it somewhere. Because I think in the back of my head, all that shit I heard when I was growing up was stirring in there, and I would just constantly like half-ass it, and that's why like there's some resentment there. So I get it.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want to do to my kids, and I never want to do that. So
But you know what?
But just to add to Carlos's comment, like, that's what happened with me and my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he used to see me like just go and slack off in school. I wasn't gonna fail, right? Because I already had everything calculated. Like, you could do the calculation. How many tests you could pass? You can do it without a homework, and you probably get a C. Right? And that's what I always did. I always pass the test and not turn in the homework, right? And
living on 70, right?
That's what you do. So
living on 70.
So, exactly. And so he was concerned, exactly like you guys, like when you see a kid who's struggling in high school, whatever, and he said, no, this he needs a trade. So he started sending me off to like George T. Baker, sending me off to like, you know, like getting a trade in like aircraft mechanic stuff, right? Which I enjoyed.
It's not a bad idea, but I get it.
No, but it wasn't a passion. My thing was always computers. My thing was always like, you know, stuff to make stuff, to tinker with electricity, all that stuff, right? And so that for like, I didn't get my degree until 2021, so it's literally later, right? So I'm in my late 30s, early 40s, going to school with people half my age.
Yeah.
And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I'm a fool. I can't do this, right?
The hell am I doing here?
Yeah, and so I had to like fight through that and self-talk myself out of that situation for me to get what I got, right?
Right.
And you know, and it's you become more appreciative of your experience based on like the stuff that's happened. So me and my dad, we talk now, and he was telling me, yeah, you did it by yourself. You know, you did it on your own. Nobody had to do it for you. You know, whatever. He validated it. But at the end, like, I still have that resentment, and it still kind of like bothers me a little bit that this thing I could have been already like 20 years into a computer, to kind of like a software development role, right? Instead of like 3 years in after college at 2021. You feel me? Like it would have been a different experience, right?
Right, right.
But like you said, like sometimes like you got to take the cards and you got to play them how they are. And
Mhm.
I'm thankful that I made the decision that I did, and you just got to go through it.
Right, right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we can, we have to then deal with the effects of all that stuff after. We got resilience, but that kind of goes back to what Frank was saying, that you and I and Frank grew up at a different time. Kids today, it's just not the same.
Well,
I don't think it's
I
the
got a
same.
question though.
It didn't feel the same.
All right. Well, my
All
question is
right,
this.
all
My
right.
question is this. Hold on, hold on, hold
Lay it
on.
on us,
Hold on,
because I
wait,
still
wait,
got to have my words with Guido. But ask your
wait.
brother's
So,
question, because I
no,
want to
no,
hear
no,
that answer too.
no. I will put that question now.
All right.
But my thing is this. My thing is this.
Ahora sí, Guido,
So,
te jodiste.
do I get? So hold on. So if I was the kid that got all C's in school, right,
Right.
and you got all A's, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't I still get the same diploma you do, anyways?
You do, but you do have less options with colleges. You probably scored less on tests than I did. So
Let's
acceptance
say it's a
rates for
college.
you are going to be
Let's
smaller.
say a college degree. Let's put a college degree.
I know
Oh yeah,
where we're
they
going.
look at your
The answer
GPA.
to your
They look
question
at
is
you, yeah.
this. It's all about how much value you put into these things. If it was super important for me to get the same high school diploma you got, but to earn the grades and the test scores that I needed to get into Princeton or Yale, if I placed that value, if that was super important for me, then that's what I had to do. It doesn't make your accomplishments any less, but you probably look at it and say, I don't need to fucking go to Yale, whatever. I'm going to Miami-Dade. And you were happy with it. And that's fine. But you're not going to get straight C's and go to Yale. So
I gotta start a follow
that's all it is, it's all about priorities and what you really wanted to get out of getting straight
Yeah.
A's. Because I know I'm not going to earn straight A's and go to Miami-Dade. That's not the point.
All right, so should we shoot it?
Let's do it. Let's do
All
it.
right,
Because
here we go.
based on what Guido said, Carlos's question is always the best question. This is what I love to hear people answer.
And this here,
Oh yeah.
this was said by Trump. If I'm not
Trump
mistaken.
said this? Would you rather die by a shark bite or by electrocution?
Yeah, 'cause you
Electrocution.
yeah.
I think electrocution's faster.
All right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Ready?
Great.
Drum roll.
Sure.
So what part of the Trump presidency did you not like, Guido? And what has Biden done better?
I'll tell you what. The part that I didn't like about Trump was when he was trying to overturn the election and start like a civil war.
Oh my
That's
God.
the part I didn't like.
Restraint.
And
Restraint.
the part that I like about Biden is that it's just tough, right? Because you really are looking at the fringes of like politics in a sense, right? You're looking at you're looking at these both extreme parts, right? So you're looking at the left and they're nuts, and you're looking at the right and they're nuts, right? And it seems like there's no middle ground, right? There's no centrist. There's no someone who can make deals and not make everyone happy, but everyone can live with what decisions are made, right? Policies and stuff, right? Everyone's talking about social issues and stuff that really inflame the passions, right? But don't really get to the root cause of the issue, right? What is the issue of our today? Today right now is prices, right? Everything's going up, right? People the interest rates are up. In my sector, there was a lot of layoffs from 2023 to 2024. A lot of people have reduced their spending, and a lot of people are holding on to their money, and so the economy flows when people spend money, right?
Naturally.
So right, so all these things in conjunction are kind of setting us up for what I think would be like a stagflation, right? Where you're making money, you're raising money, but the value doesn't increase over time. It's like $1 and $1.25 will be the same from here in 3 months ahead of you, right?
Right,
So
because
it
we're
really,
spending like
really
crazy.
exactly. So, and both parties are not willing to really solve issues, right? Both parties are not, right? Because
Mhm.
Biden could have done what he done in the border if it was a big issue, like what he did a couple of weeks ago. And the Republicans had everything on that bill for the border that they killed, and they let this guy, the senator, hang, right? Because Trump wanted to be the one who wanted big baby wanted to be the one who signed it. So like, there's no political will to solve the problems. They just talk about it, and so like, we have to get out of this like rut in looking at these two ineffective parties and try to get somebody in there that does something. And so this election is going to be pretty much, if Trump wins, it's going to be, blah, 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 a lot of like news, this and this and this. He might try to want to stay, but effectively he's going to go. If Biden wins, it's going to be the same thing. Everyone's going to see how old he is, da 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 da,
I think I
and we're not
know
going to
where
get anywhere
Guido
in either
gets his
case.
news.
Where, CNN?
All right, let's break it down, buddy.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, first things first. The election has been contested every single time a Republican has won since 2000. My question to you is, why does Trump contesting an election make him a baby?
Oh, no. I don't. Like, you can contest whatever you want. I think I was there with like Bush and Gore, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Gore was the one who kind of like won the popular vote, but Bush got the nod because he wants the states, and electoral college is what we go by.
Right.
The whole thing with like Hillary Clinton, I think Hillary Clinton, when she saw that there was no path forward, she conceded, and she said, "Okay, you're the person." Like,
But she called him illegitimate for 4 years.
well, because there was a question about legitimacy when it comes to like Russia, right? So there was this whole thing, and I think Comey was the one who fucked up, right, in a sense, and gave it to Trump. And this whole thing about Russia,
Which was
like,
proven to be a hoax.
which was proven to be a hoax. I don't have the data in front of me, so I can't
It was.
verify that. I'm going to take your word. I'm going to take your word for it.
It was. Go ahead.
Right? Like, it really sullied the election, right? Because we
Right.
didn't focus on what we should base our decision as far as candidates goes on their policies, right? And that's why we don't have a clear idea of how these people are gonna rule. If you go with Biden, he's gonna go to whatever his base is gonna tell him, right? So if his base is gonna say, no, okay, we want como se llama, a dragon to be the new attorney general, he's gonna try to get that for his people, right? And Trump is trying to cater to the ultra conservative white Christian group of people that have his sentiments. And so, like, you're not really getting a candidate that serves the people in the middle. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, either or don't serve me, and is what I'm saying, right? Like,
Guido.
it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm disappointed. I feel cheated because, like, at the end of the day, like, we want to have people who respect the rule of law. We want to have people who want to better this country and have like a pragmatic and objective way of ruling. And we don't. We have people are inflamed by passions, and here we have two figureheads that always inflame the passions. That's what we have.
Man, there's so much I can disagree with here. But okay. So I guess, I mean, from the sounds of it, I kind of can tell where you lean, and that's fine, because you seem to have accepted a lot of information that, in my brain, just isn't very accurate. But as far as both parties pushing the, I guess entertaining the fringes, to me that's about basically action reaction. Since 2016, to me, one side lost their mind for 4 years, and now you're getting the reaction. So crazy caused crazy, and now everyone's crazy. The problem with your approach, which is something that everybody should strive for, but I believe, especially after the Trump years, what was discovered was the people that you referred to as the middle of the road politicians, they're the ones who have been sitting in government for 30, 40 years, and everything they do is not to the benefit of the public. It's to the benefit of their power and their wallet. So now that we've exposed that, and now more than ever we clearly see it, people don't want that anymore. So now the fringes have arrived, and you have the extreme left, which is borderline communist, and the extreme right, which they're very nationalist. So
they're very crazy too. Like,
yeah, they are.
Yeah,
They are. I guess it just depends on what kind of crazy you want. Now, in my book, I can't accept a group that is okay with monitoring speech, censoring people. I don't care how bad you have to, whatever it is you have to say. No one should ever be silenced unless you're making actual threats. The party that wants to control all kinds of information, censor here and there, throw people in jail, throw political opponents in jails. I mean, that's the kind of stuff our parents ran from, and here we are watching it again. So I have issue with that.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going. So
exactly.
So this is my position as far as that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do the crime, you do the time. You feel me? So if you're gonna do the crime, you do the time, right? That's how I am, right? Like,
right.
Look, say what you say about anyone, right? If somebody commits something, they're gonna have to pay for it. That's how it is, right? That's how it is for both of us, right? So if we do
for us, sure,
yeah, for all of us, right? That's how it is, right? Like, that's what we expect. Like, if let's say I were to go ahead and do something where I'm buying guns while I'm on drugs, which I'm not, right? Then
right.
right, or lie on my thing. I would expect someone
Guido.
Right? I would expect someone to come down and hand me out punishments. Like, if I decide to go ahead and say, "Hey, let's overthrow an election," that's illegal, and so we should also have punishments for those people.
Where do you keep getting this notion that of overthrowing an election? When you're asking for results, you're asking for investigations, you're asking for why. Hold on. You're asking for why 5 states decided to suddenly shut down their counting centers, only for all of us to wake up with a massive shift in the count. None of that smells good. Where do we get this notion that he was trying to overthrow anything? He left. He left screaming, but he left.
Yeah, but he had to leave. And this is the thing, right? If you're gonna go ahead and you go through the court system and you have 63 challenges, and your appointed judges are saying, "Hey, there's nothing to hang your hat on," then you take your losses and you do what everybody does and say, "Hey, I'm gonna wish my other president well. Hey, we fought it out. I lost. I'll come back the next time stronger," right? But if you start doing where it's like, "Hey, January 6th, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna have a party, and then we're gonna walk to the Capitol," like, you're inciting people
peacefully and patriotically. He's another one who forgets the key words.
Like, no. It's I saw it with my own eyes. Like, it was an embarrassment, honestly, because I was looking at that and I was saying, wow, like, these people came in and they trashed the Capitol, right? And they're literally sacking something that hasn't been sacked since 1812 when the English did it. Right?
Did you see all the footage that came out afterwards?
I saw all the footage, man. Like,
so you saw the cops literally walking people through, guiding them through, allowing them in.
This is what I saw.
You saw the cops shooting pellets at the crowd first before they rushed.
I even saw some lady got shot in the chest and she died.
Oh, the unarmed one. Right.
Yes. She got shot in the chest. Yeah. I saw a cop being squashed between 2 panes of glass. I saw some people using the stick as battering rams, saying, hey, we're usually for you guys, but you're in our way. It's a I'm sorry to say it, but it's a stain on someone's reputation, right? And so they have
Yeah,
to kind of own that. You feel me?
right.
Like that's a
I just
question for
don't think
me.
I don't think that event was as clear cut as we're making it seem to be. A lot of the post footage seems to show that there was a lot of help and guidance going on throughout this quote unquote insurrection. Nobody was
uh,
armed. Nobody was armed. You had cops literally opening the doors, and you even had
Yeah, it was
masked
funny.
people. Yeah, they were. I mean, you can look it up. Walking them through the rotundas, like here, this way. Have a nice day. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it's hazy. It's hazy.
if you're breaking glass, right, and you're literally repelling yourself from the roof in full tactical gear, right, trying to look through papers and say, "Oh yeah, this guy Ted Cruz, he's with us." There's nothing patriotic about that. You feel me? Right? There's
Ted
nothing.
Cruz.
There's
Okay.
nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. Like it's an embarrassment, right? That's something that we all have to own, and so you had the same problem in, I think, well, not to the well, almost to the point of people invading the capital in Brazil, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the difference that Lula did, right, which Biden didn't do, right, which Nelson Mandela did when he won the election in, I think, in '94 in South Africa, was that you unite people, right? Lula went and grabbed his left and his right, and they walked along the Capitol together. And Bolsonaro is in Miami in exile, right? And he was the Trump, Brazilian Trump, that he was like, the COVID is a hoax, and got COVID and almost passed away. Um, that's what we should have done with Biden, and with this uniting of these fringes and saying, you know what, our passions are inflamed, it's over, right? Trump conceded, right? It's a peaceful transfer of power. That did not happen, right? So, and that's what I contest with Trump. You feel me? Well, what I contest with Biden is his running of the country as a whole, right? He's letting a very small segment of the left wing dictate his policies, and he looks wish-washy and flip-floppy. You feel me? I don't appreciate that they're espousing, and they're trying to tell former President Trump that he didn't have the powers to go ahead and seal the border, and yet all of a sudden, magic hands, Biden all of a sudden he has executive power to seal the border. So
Yeah, they
it's
let in enough people. They can do that now.
both parties, right, are rotten, and so there has to be like a new party that comes in between, and kind of has to cancel these two out, because like you're not really getting a quality choice either or, right?
Mhm.
It's like what the guy said here: either you eat shark bite or electrocution, right? Those are your two options. Take one, because you're both gonna end up dead, pretty much, right?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where we end up here. I can. The only thing I can attest to is this: no matter how much crying he did, no matter how much overturning he tried, I use heavy quotes
Uh-huh.
on that.
Yeah.
Life was great before COVID, and that was under the baby. And I'm more than happy to have the baby back with his tweets and all the bullshit. If if my life feels better, my money is valued more, my gas is a lot less, all that shit, I'll take it back and deal with 4 more years of all cap tweeting any day.
Well, it might not be just 4 more years. It might
Oh,
be like
stop. Stop. Oh my God. I
it
mean,
could
if
be the
he
last
start,
election.
if they start, if and you know what, it's going to be similar. If I were him, I'd start throwing Democrats in jail too. Why not? What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right?
It's
I
just,
mean,
the thing is that who's going to be the bigger person? Because like if we start ending up um in back and forths, right? So it's like, oh, so they threw our guy in jail, right? Because yes, he did stuff, but let's make pretend like he didn't. Then we're gonna make up, charges for this guy, even though he didn't. And so it becomes like a I'm gonna get him. Okay, 4 more years. I'm gonna get him. Like it doesn't benefit the public. It's just show, right? And so it's almost like the same conversation when they have about like when we had earlier. I think when we were talking about the chaplain in school, right? Like
Mhm.
that doesn't really benefit just a small segment of people because the actual problem would be the school inequality, right? So we know that Florida and most counties they fund their schools based on property taxes, right?
Property
And
taxes, right?
when your property taxes are higher in a certain area, right? Those resources are going to be more allocated to the schools that are in that area, right?
Right.
And areas that don't have that type of property tax, equity, they don't get as much, right? So how do we fix that inequality? And we give people a fair shake in education. So those are questions that we want answers to, not hey, who's the chaplain, or what's those are things that kind of concern me as far as like what the social conversations are, right? Because that's the things that are going to solve our issues. It's not like liberal tears and red hats. It's how we take our most precious resource that we have and we level the playing field for everyone, so everyone has an opportunity to be the best versions that they could be.
So the problem you're running into is the fact that what you're hoping for is the battered wife syndrome, and that's not going to happen. When one party has gone out of their way to beat up the other party and arrest their people, what you're saying, yeah. Holy shit!
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You dropped the Lego
Getting
set.
some mics. No, I'm getting some mics. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! All right, what you're hoping for then is that the other party turns around and says, "Listen, I don't want to fight anymore." After getting slapped around for 8 years, you suddenly want the other people to be the big people. It doesn't work that way. It's like Newton's law. Every action's going to have an equal reaction. So it's going to be a while before we get to that dream you just described. People are going to want other heads to roll now. And I honestly kind of understand it and wouldn't mind seeing some roll too. The way I see it, heads are going to have to roll before both parties figure out this isn't the way it's going to work. But if the other party wins for some reason, and they just suddenly try to act like the big people, then the first party's going to be like, look, these guys aren't going to do shit. Every time they get into power, they roll over. So when we get back, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing. It's like anybody, like the schoolyard. A bully doesn't stop until the other one stands up. So
no, you're right.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The first and go ahead.
But what I'm saying is that I say this, right? I ditch both left and the right, right? Just ditch them. It makes no sense why you have blue and red if they don't serve anyone, right? There has to be like a middle candidate that we all can coalesce in, right? And there hasn't been, and that's the thing that I want.
You'd have to find someone with a great sales pitch to. So I think the whole thing's been tarnished, though. It's like you said, we have the left, we have the right, and because the left and the right used to at least appear to get along, what we had was years of money mismanagement, corruption, and all sorts of crap. That's what they call the uniparty establishment. That is the middle. And those people are now exposed as nothing but a bunch of money hungry, power hungry, careless politicians. So people are tired of that position that you're describing. I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree. But for years, that's what we depended on. And for years, that middle position has eroded into what has been exposed. So now we're like, F it. We're going to go to the fringe because the middle has led us to this path of nothing but constant wars and constant spending. So, no, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have the knight in shining armor be like, I will unite everybody. And here's the problem. We did have someone who fed us that bullshit in 2008. That didn't work because he lied. He didn't unite squat. He didn't unite crap. So We tried that. We found the guy who was telling us about peace and unity and all that nonsense. He didn't unite shit. So here we are. In fact, if you really want to get down to it, the
But no
reason
one's bothered to unite.
the reason the carrot, the orange one, showed up in office was a direct what's the word? Repudiation of the character from 2008 and 12. So he clearly demonstrated what you described, and he clearly showed you the problem with his with coming out and saying those things and promising these things and absolutely not delivering on any of them.
Well, yeah, he couldn't deliver them because, like, he had a Republican Congress that didn't allow him to.
Oh, come on. Listen, Reagan had a Democratic Congress and he did fine.
Yeah, but you know what?
Can't
Reagan
just say,
did?
oh,
You know,
so what you're saying is if a president doesn't have all three houses, then
I'm not saying
nothing's
that.
going to
This
happen.
is what I'm saying. You got to be a deal maker. You got to be a person who's going to bring people in the middle, right? Saying shit like, you know, hey, I'm gonna punish these people. These people are gonna go to jail when I get in office, or the other one that says, you know, whatever, to get his guy in jail. Like, these things don't help. Was what I'm saying, right?
And I
Like,
agree. They
it
don't.
doesn't help, right? So
But-
you're as a person who's like an undecided voter, who this is who I am, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm disaffected and I'm apathetic about this election. You know, like, you're not going to motivate me to go either or, because both guys are not really singing the tunes that I'm trying to listen to, right? There's a lot more people like me than there are that there are of, you know, left or right. You feel me?
So my
Mhm.
question to you is this: does this mean that you're not going to vote in November?
I might not, honestly, because, like, it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I'm not with all the policies as far as the Biden administration has. Like, I'm about policy, right? And so the stuff that this guy, his rhetoric, or, you know, what is it, pants on fire? This guy, what's his name, Trump? Like, he's always, like, I see him as like no hombre. You feel me? Like, he's crying all the time. You gotta, at one point in time, you gotta stand up and be a man and say, okay, you know what, this is what happened. Hey, I'm gonna deal with it, right? And let me talk about policy. Let me talk about what I'm gonna do for the country. Let me talk about this. And otro viejo, he looks like he's too old to even, like, I'm pretty sure he looks too old to be in office, right? Like, I don't feel comfortable having him
So
in
he's
the
sold.
next
He
4 years
fucks and
because,
shits himself.
yeah, you feel me? Because, you know, and his policies are not really the same. They're wish-washy. Yeah, we're going to secure the border. Oh, I don't have the powers. All of a sudden, yes, I do have the powers. So it doesn't, these things don't pass the smell test, right? And
so go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go finish.
What we had in, like, when we talk about Reagan, we talk about, like, these were like people who believed in I guess what the Constitution actually meant, and believed it beyond their party affiliation, right? And so that's what we lost. We lost the honor of that como se llama, that office. We lost the prestige of it, right? And now it's just a bunch of clowns, like, running the clown show, right? Whoever's in office is never going to. I'm not going to be taking these people seriously because they're clowns. You when you see C-SPAN, you see these people talk, like the politicians, and how they, like, these people are clowns. Like, I can't take MGT seriously, just like I can't take AOC seriously. You feel me? Because they're not speaking, like, things that really affect me. Prices, policy, as far as, like, social issues. Social issues don't really affect me as much as like the economy, right? Stuff that happens locally in my area, right?
Well, you're not going to expect MTG to deal with your local issues. That's not their job.
I'm just saying. I'm just an example. Like,
okay,
it's not something, like, I think both parties are corrupt, and it's time for something new. And I hope that, you know, maybe 10, 20 years down the line, that we can get over this two-party system and get something more like in Europe, where you have, like, a coalition.
well, then maybe that'll happen. I'm not against it. I know the excuse or the reasoning for having the two-party system is that so you don't elect fringes within the coalition. Because if you invite more parties, then you start getting some of the crazies.
But they should have another party.
Say what?
They should have more parties.
They do. They just never get funded or invited to anything. There's independents, there's libertarians, there's green parties, there's communists. They're out there. They're all out there, and they all run, but they don't get funded. And so the big parties set up the rules to where they're pretty much like the stepchildren that nobody wants to hear about. All right, what is Carlos saying about the Communist Manifesto? I love this guy. Marx describes a utopia of a world and society where everyone and everything is equal. Sounds great on paper, but it's not practical or achievable in real life. Yeah, of course, because there's always a ruling class. That's the problem with the Communist Manifesto. Somebody has to rule, and once you have a ruler, you have someone taking advantage of everything, and it never works out. So that's the point. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I'll take it a step further that we can complain about Crybaby and his constant crying. Did you hear about the submarine, Frank?
Which one?
The nuclear submarine that just pulled up at Cuba?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I heard something about it.
Yeah, bro. So the temperature around the planet really sucks these days. And a lot of that has to do with weak leadership. And as much as the Crybaby cried, the man had his foot down. And everybody understood that. And nobody was doing shit while he was in charge. And that's the kind of shit you need. And as much as, and so even going back to Guido's example about having someone who's pragmatic, shit was on fire back then too, because they understood that they were weak. You know, there's nothing wrong with having an asshole in charge as long as he's not attacking the populace. That's when it becomes a problem. But Ralph Nader, you know, as long as we're okay, I'm cool with the asshole in charge. As long as we know we're fine. But yeah, those are the things that I do appreciate, and definitely would not mind having again just for 4 years. And no, he's not gonna stay there after. I love it when people think that stuff. He's gonna stay there. He would have stayed there the first time. I have a story for you. I think I told Frank this. You know, before Fidel, you had Batista. And before Batista, people were democratically elected. Turns out Batista's like my aunt's godfather. I had no idea. But that's how basically problems began in Cuba, because after his term, he stayed. So he went from elected president to dictator. Point being, if Trump really wanted to quote unquote stay, his ass would have stayed there after 2020. He's not staying. So there's not this notion that he probably won't leave if he gets back in. Hogwash. Garbage. That's just my 2 cents though. Not happening.
Well,
not happening. The man's going to go. What he needs to do is find himself a VP that can continue on his policies afterwards, but he ain't staying. He ain't staying. That's just my 2 cents. He ain't staying.
Look,
he's gonna leave. He might not even finish because he's getting old too. I mean, he's sharp as a tack compared to Biden, but he's up there. He might have a stroke halfway through for all I know. I mean, we got to be real.
Yeah, we have bad candidates and we have bad parties. None of them represent what
they've definitely gotten rotten over time. I don't know if they've gotten rotten over time or they're just now more easily exposed because they're more visible.
They're more visible.
I don't agree with that. I think what happened is Glass-Steagall. That's what happened, and term limits. So
well, we haven't had term limits outside of executive.
That's what I'm saying. Like there should be that you can't have career politicians because there's always a self-preservation component to that, right? And so if I get $200,000 or $250,000 a year, and I'm in a cushy district where I know I'm gonna win, right? Then like I'm gonna try to stay there for as long as I can. And
not only are you going to stay there for as long as you can, you're going to write laws that are going to benefit your wallet going forward.
Or exactly.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Corruption. and it's a corruption. So what should happen, right? And if honest politicians were honest and people in there weren't corrupted by the power that you have as an official,
Mhm.
um, then there should have been something where every senator and every representative can only serve 2 terms at most, or 4 terms at most,
Yeah, I
and then
always
get them
thought
out of there.
the magic number should be 6 terms if you're in the House and 2 terms if you're in the Senate. That's 12 years either way.
Yeah,
That's good enough. That's a
and
decade.
then
You're out.
get the money out of politics, right?
Right,
Like
right.
get the lobbyists out, get all, so that the people are the politicians are really beholden to the people, right? So right
Mhm.
now the politicians are looking for ways to keep in power, which is like the gerrymandering thing, right? So I know that I have a county here, they're gonna vote for me, right? So
In this half of the county and in this half. Right.
exactly, right? And so that 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 doesn't play into, like, what the founding fathers wanted for our democracy, right? Which is like, it's an experiment, right? And the experiment is that we elect officials, and it's a government by the people. Like right now, it's pretty much an oligarchy, if you think about it, because whoever's in power, the only people that are going to write policies for is for the ultra rich. It doesn't matter if you're a
Precisely.
Democrat or whatchamacallit.
No, it's all
The
about
there
lobbies.
Yes. And
Yeah,
so
it's all about lobbies.
one of the things that kind of struck me the most is that AOC was, and this is, I think it was in the New York Times, was considered one of the most ineffective politicians there is, just like MGT, because they haven't passed anything. So her and Lauren Berber are pretty much on the same level. They don't pass anything because their ideas are too fringe. And these are ineffective politicians, right? And so
Mhm.
they're the ones who have, like, literally the megaphones, and they're driving people to these edges, right? But they're not doing their jobs, and they're going to be there for a while, right? They're going to be there for and collecting good amount of money for it, right? And so how do we limit that? How do we curtail some of
Hmm.
that staying power into where we're recycling these people, in and out, and they don't get any funding from anywhere else,
You're
you know?
asking what you're asking is how are people going to set up rules that eventually terminate their job?
Yes.
Yeah.
It, yes.
Now, I
Yes.
actually heard, I don't know if it was Ted Cruz or Mike Lee or somebody, some Republican senators, plural, actually did propose term limits. Like it's officially there. But it's they're it'll never, you know,
Yeah.
proceed and because you can't expect these people to write up a rule that's gonna end their
Yeah.
career.
It's
And
it's like
so
it's like being it's like being asked to work until you don't have no more work,
right,
right?
right. So that's a problem that I don't know if we're ever going to get over. I mean, I hear more and more politicians talking about it, but again, it's not making its way through. You have to find the
And
right
that
candidates to do that. And every candidate comes out the same. They sing you a sweet song. Frank and I were talking about this last week about, politicians who sound sweet. And that was one of the criticisms of Trump, like, oh, I just can't stand how he sounds. I'm like, it's the people who sound sweet are full of shit though. And
So
so,
you just said, and it took me a minute to kind of get everything and looking at everything, right? The
mhm.
Russian ship that's in Cuba, right?
Yeah, the submarine.
All right. So, right. Number one, there's four.
Oh, there's
There's
four.
four
Wow.
ships.
Hey,
Yeah.
there you go. There's
yeah,
four.
Okay. But you're making it
they're not nuclear.
sound you're making it sound like this is something new that goes on. And because Biden is there, it's happening because he's there, right? That's
Hmm.
that's
So
what
are
you're
you
making
telling
it
me we,
sound like.
we we routinely get Russian submarines near our waters?
Um, Cuba
Nuclear
hosted
submarines?
Russian naval exercises are nothing new, having been being held annually between 2013 and 2020
Also, yeah.
Where
So
though?
in Cuba, in the Cuban waters.
What I heard though was that they were right outside Florida for a while.
Well, fuck. I mean, dude, you're fucking 90 miles away. So
Bro,
you're
the last
90
time
miles
we
away,
had that
you're
kind
fucking
of
outside of
the
Florida.
last
dude.
time, nah, you can't be that close to Florida.
Bubble, you fucking fart, they're gonna fucking smell it over there. It's 90 miles away.
Yeah,
What the
you,
fuck
you
is
can
that?
take a boat. From
No,
Cuba to
when
Florida.
what I saw was they were close to like Titusville, like in that area, in by the center of Florida, off the ocean, not by Cuba. Now, say what you will, I don't know. That's why I said this is the
Maybe they
first
got lost.
look. All I'm doing is hearing. I'm basically just going off what I heard. If it's been
Yeah.
going on since 2013, nobody has cared about it then until now for some reason. But
Mhm.
now all of a sudden it was a big deal. And I don't know if it's just exercises. Were there always nuclear subs involved?
There's always exercises. There's naval
No. You
exercises.
didn't answer the question. Were there always nuclear subs involved?
This story doesn't say so. There's
All right.
naval
So,
exercises.
For all we
Now,
know,
but there
we
is
could have
no
had a
nuclear
Russian
weapons
paddle boat
on-
by Cuba and call it a Russian exercise. We don't know how big or how severe
Okay,
of
but
a
it
Russian
doesn't
exercise
mean-
you're talking about.
Okay,
I
but-
heard that those boats aren't nuclear though. Like
exactly.
I
They're
heard
not-
they
those
were.
boats are coming in. No, yeah,
There's
that was
nothing on
misinformation apparently.
There's nothing. Okay,
Yeah,
no, they're nuclear boats, but there's no nuclear weapons. on
Nuclear
them.
on them, yeah. Because
Okay.
that'll be
So that is
'cause
why
that's a treaty since 1950 something.
that is why
So
the
if-
United States is not declaring it
If
like a
there's a
real
treaty.
big concern, right?
Yeah,
they're
so
they're watching.
Right.
They're watching.
Like the Chinese spy balloons. Those weren't a big deal either. I get it.
No.
But the Chinese spy balloons has been going on when Trump was around too.
No,
Yeah,
they
right.
weren't actually.
Yes, they were. Dude,
I
we
heard-
did a story on this. Carlos.
Oh, wait. He
Yeah.
wasn't. What was the story with that one, though? There was something to that.
Okay, we did a story on the spy balloon.
There was
back
something
in
to that.
2022.
Yeah.
2022.
So
I think so. If
Trump
I go
wasn't
back in my
president then.
notes, I understand that, but when the spy balloons, when these spy balloons were flying around, we spoke about it, and we said, and I remember clearly that I was like, they were around when freaking Trump was around too. The thing is that everybody fucking that loves Trump and all these fucking Trumpers, all right, and
Russian-
any little
mhm.
thing that Biden fucking does or something happens during Biden's watch, all eyes are on Biden. I'm not saying that Biden is fucking great because he's not. I think he's a piece of garbage as a president. But you know what? What's fair is fair. This shit goes on with him in office, with Trump in office, all right? And right now, all eyes are pointing at fucking Biden because number one of the job that he's doing a fucking shitty job. So you know what?
if you
Everything points to him. Oh, this is
If you
happening
look at
because of
it-
him.
if you look at 538, like he's down. Like I think his approval rating is down to like 30 something percent. He's up like 50 something percent on his approval ratings. So like he's a very these two candidates are very unpopular. The only people that pick him up are the people that fringes and stuff. So, or the people that have like this magnetism for them, right? But people who actually like in the middle, like they don't really boil the blood for them to go out and vote for them. I don't think.
So, according to the
Um,
Herald, Russia's deployment of a naval flotilla to Cuba on Wednesday was generally consistent with routine military posturing by Moscow, with one exceptional detail. The U.S. Jake Sullivan, whatever, the national security guy, the elements of this one that are different are distinct. They have a submarine associated with this port visit that they have not had before. So, yes, Frank, they've done this for years. It's never been done like this. They're flexing more muscle. They're bringing in something more serious.
Okay.
So again, you could have had a paddle boat from Moscow and call it a Russian exercise.
Listen, it could be routine exercises. They're just going somewhere else now to do them. It's just like, look, man.
All right.
I get it. It's Russia. All right. I get it. It's Russia. I get it. Okay. I'm not saying
it's Russia. I get it.
okay. I do. No, I understand it's Russia. But when you look at it, they're not posing a threat to us.
There's a treaty, Alex, honestly. Like I think the treaty is that
Do
there
they
was a
have the
treaty
right
to
go-
protect Ukraine too. How'd that work out?
No, yeah, but this
We
is the
haven't
thing
done
though.
anything.
Like
All we
you're
gotta
talking,
do
you're
Ukraine
talking
money.
about Ukraine doesn't have nuclear weapons. That's the problem, right? And so,
Well,
like, if there's a if I guess in 1950 something, like the whole what is it, the Cuban Missile Crisis stuff, right? When Russia, the actual
59.
Soviets went to 59, like there was a treaty between both countries and said, okay, we're not going to do this as long as you don't try to invade us. So that's been the stalemate that's kept us pretty much safe for what 60, 70 years. Now, since you have the Russians invading Ukraine, and then the U.S. and NATO allies helping out Ukraine with like weapons and stuff, Putin feels emboldened to do this type of stuff because they're also saber raiding over there by Taiwan. And so, like
that's right.
this is
Yeah.
like this is becoming like something where all the passions are kind of like escalating, almost kind of like World War One, where people are trying to like prove their manhood. The whole thing with Israel and Hamas, and that's also like another theater that we have to consider.
The missile
So
crisis
there's a lot
was
of things, a lot of
1962.
activity. 62,
The
yeah,
missile 62.
62. My bad. So that I don't know. It could be a nothing burger, but it also could be concerning. No one's really gonna know. And
No,
the
this
stuff that
has
you
more to
know
do
is
with Ukraine. This has more to do with Ukraine. I mean, I remember the report about, what was it? Something about Biden allowing, what was it?
HIMARS.
U.S. weapons to be used
Yeah.
in Russian soil, I think, or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the U.S. was the only standout that wasn't allowing their equipment to be used in
Right.
Russian soil.
So this
So
is
there's like
this is.
a
I'm sure this
handshake
is a
agreement.
response to that. Is what that is.
Yeah.
So
It's a
Russia's
reminder.
like, all right, you're gonna do that. We're gonna remind you. Let me just send 4 very intimidating boats right off your shore. But
It's just that if you play the game theory, it does none of this stuff ends well for anyone, honestly.
Mhm.
Like if you start thinking about like what the game theory tree looks like, it doesn't really bode well for either side. It's just a series of escalations, and then it becomes like something unmanageable. So right now, I think we should be a little concerned, honestly.
a lot of that has to do with mismanagement. Great, this
What?
thing froze up.
Yeah, you
My
kind
computer froze
of.
up.
Yeah, you have. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
It's not
Been
really
a hot
about
day,
the
man.
leadership that's in the
Man,
executive office.
fire. Show is pure fire
it's a-
today.
It's
Oh
about
God, Carlos, you're maybe it's me, but I think there's a delay between your talking and you're showing blah 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 blah. Wave, say hi.
Yeah,
How are
probably.
you?
I mean, it looks good to me now.
There you go.
But
You're better now. You're better now.
yeah, no,
You're good.
my computer was stuttering here for a bit.
It pulled a Frank.
Yeah, right, pretty much.
All
Pretty
right,
much.
all right, we good.
Now, here's the difference. This is what I was looking up. The Chinese spy balloons under Trump were not discovered until after Biden took office. So no one knew about those balloons.
Even worse.
Well, whose
Even
fault
worse.
is that, though? That's not Trump's fault. That's
Trump.
the Defense Department. Oh, right.
It-
Trump
it
woke up
happened
and
during
said, no
Trump.
one. Yeah,
It
he
happened
had.
during
Right,
Trump.
right. I
It
see.
happened during
Okay.
Trump. It
Bro,
happened during
the
Trump.
bottom line
Happened
is
during-
we saw that balloon coming from Alaska and we did nothing. We did nothing. So,
because
no,
we had seen them before
it's not
during
the same.
Trump, so
It's
No,
not
yes,
the
it is.
same.
Yes, it
It's
is,
not the
because we
same.
saw them. Yes, it is.
It's not the
because we
same.
saw them before.
How
we
is
saw them
it?
before during Trump, but you know what?
Oh,
Trump
good
didn't do nothing
grief.
about it, so we just followed suit.
Okay. I don't think
There we
anybody
go.
knew about it. That's the problem.
I think we lost Guido.
No, not Guido.
I'm sure he'll be back, but that's what happened. That's what happened with the
Yeah.
spy balloons.
Okay. All right. I see. Right.
During Trump, they happened.
Yeah.
No one did anything about it.
No, it's
So
not
we
that no
followed
one did
suit.
anything about it. They were never
We followed
detected. Frank, if I fart in your house and you don't smell it, and then you find out years later that I farted in your house, am I going to blame you? No, you didn't
Yes, I
know.
am.
You didn't
Yes,
have
I
the
am.
technology. You didn't have the heat sensors to see the red smoke coming out of my ass.
I know.
In
mean,
this
good
case-
analogy, but
In this case, we clearly saw that balloon coming from Alaska or Hawaii, came from way up there, traveling all the way across, conveniently flying over military bases before shooting it down at the very edge of the country somewhere on the East Coast. Come on, man. That's just garbage. It's been garbage move after garbage move, garbage decision after garbage decision these last 4 years, and we're worried about someone who cries. I ain't no,
yeah,
not worried about it.
I'm not worried about anybody who cries. I just don't like. I don't want to vote for a guy who cries. Like, you have to be a man. Anyways, go ahead.
You have to be a man.
You gotta be a man and accept defeat.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All
You
right.
gotta be
So
a man.
if I sweep the leg when I'm not supposed to, you're not gonna get up and say he swept the leg. Got it.
No, if we're fighting and you win, I'm gonna shake your hand and say good job. You beat
Okay.
me.
All right. No, I had glass shards in my glove. No problem. I lost.
I bit your ear off. It's all right.
Nobody is gonna sit there, smell bullshit, and be like, "Okay, cool, I got it." It's just not a natural reaction.
It's I'm not saying that it's a natural reaction, but it's kind of like saying, okay, so all right, so if we take it back to like Hillary Clinton, right, and we take it back to like Al Gore. Like, Al Gore had a legitimate claim to continue the fight for those 500 and something votes that had hanging chads and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, his
But he
excuse was
said-
hanging chads. Right.
And he said, you know what? What's best for the country is for the country to coalesce and heal. That's welcoming you in president, and I'm going to concede the election. Like, that's what men do, right? At least
Okay.
the men that what should we call it? Like, he didn't do that. Did he sit in the inauguration? Did he shake Biden's hand? Did he wave to the crowd and left peacefully? No. He's not a dude.
Gotcha. I gotta look something up. I don't know if I'll have time to find it. Essentially, though, 530 plus votes of hanging chads in one county versus a statistical impossibility between 2 and 4 in the morning is different. But whatever. We're 4 years out into that, and now the interference is coming from court cases. So everyone's gonna. Now, here's my point, though, and here's something that no one likes to think about. If there really was no cheating, if there really was no shenanigans, why the constant stalling and blocking of just evidence? Show us how everything panned
They
out.
did a recount in Arizona, and the people
And now
that
they're
were
having
there, hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
They did a recount in Arizona, and they did a recount in Georgia. They had two Republican, Raffensperger and the other dude, who were like, "Hey, we voted for Trump. He's our guy, but there's no votes here. Like, what else do you want?" Right? Like, we're not talking about the Democratic, or state of Oregon or Washington, like, going ahead and throwing in votes in Georgia. We're talking about like a red state that turned blue. You feel me? And you had two people who were Republicans overseeing that election and said, well, the math is the math, and this thing, Biden took it. You feel me? Right?
So what you're saying is
Nevada.
this. What you're saying is this. Ballots were recounted, right? Now, we're not going to question the legitimacy of all those ballots that were counted. You're cool with just the fact that the ballots were counted. That's
no. See, this is where the conversation always devolves. It's like,
because
it's
it
like,
has to. It has
devolves,
to.
and the reason why it devolves is because, like, this is the thing. We don't have the ballots in front of us to count it, right? And we have to take someone's what is it? Someone's what they're saying, right? With their truth, right? And so we have two people who are from the other side, right? Who have every motivation to say, yeah, this dude won it, and they're saying he didn't. You feel me? Like, that's enough to tell me, okay, that's a pretty straight election. If this was in California, right, and like all of a sudden, like, that Biden won by 20 or 30 million votes, where like the California only has 6 million people, and that's a problem. You feel me? But that's because you have the ruling party there is the Democratic Party. But in Georgia, but in Arizona, they counted those votes, and they counted them
You say
twice.
Georgia, and Arizona, which is clever because they're red states. But you don't say Maricopa and Fulton County, which are blue districts. So again, we can say, oh, things were recounted. All right, fine. I could stuff 30 pieces of paper into something and tell you they're there. They may not be authentic. They may not be correct. They might be phony. They might be fraud. They might be improper. But we recounted. They're there. Count them. So we're good. Yes, we're going to get into the minutia, but should we look into the minutia to actually account for true validity of what happened? The problem is it's taken us 4 years to begin to smell it or sniff it out.
What I'm saying is that the minutia and the due diligence was done 4 years ago, and we keep relitigating something that has been proven true. There was no shenanigans in those counties. These people your party was the one who was overlooking them. They have every motivation to say otherwise, and they didn't.
You mean they were the ones that also got sent home during those hours? All these places closed down. Remember, they stopped counting.
Okay, so what is it? So because it becomes like a really, it's funny because there was a clip where in one area of like the country you had people saying count the votes, count the votes, count the votes, and then the other side you had people saying stop counting the votes, stop counting the votes.
It was crazy. I know what was it? Atlanta said that there was a pipe that broke, which never really happened, I think. And then you have a lot of that suspicious footage with people pulling baskets and trays out from under tables. Then they were like taping up windows. All that shit really happened. Here's the point though, Guido. Here's the point. I'm not saying I'm right and I'm not saying you're wrong and vice versa. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're still having this conversation is a clear sign that nothing was ever clearly proven. Therefore, since no one is content with what happened, we still have someone crying about it that it was unfair. And rightfully so, because none of us have really been shown. Telling me that 63 judges said no, we never got even to the part of any of those trials where evidence was shown. They just said no based on the motions that were filed. We did not see, and we still have not seen much of anything. Counting or recount is just going through the same materials that were used to get to the numbers. Were those materials valid or not? I don't know. And since these questions have never been really taken the time to be answered, we're here 4 years later still debating legitimacy. That's really it.
Yeah, the problem is that there's a two-pronged problem here. Number one, transparency. There's no real visibility in these processes.
Correct.
There's no public, and so it does cast a lot of doubt. But there's where I think you have to kind of go ahead, and this is not a centralized election. This is a decentralized election. So every single county has a different way of processing stuff. There's no real like centralized way of doing it, right?
I think it's a state by state issue, but either way,
it is a state by state issue, mm-hmm. Right? Number one, and number two, the marketing of it was like so impressive, and this is where I think Trump does a good job as far as like sending the message, because this was the same message in 2020, in 2016, already precluding that idea or literally like putting that idea into his supporters that if he loses the election to Hillary Clinton, there was something shady, right? And so that the messaging, it's a testament to like how good Trump is as far as a person who communicates to people and sells them what they want to hear, right? So you don't want your guy to lose because you're invested in him emotionally, right? And you don't want your guy to lose because you invested in him, and so you're gonna believe when the guy says, "Hey, they robbed me," right? But if 63, if this was a trial, and I go ahead and I talk to the judge and say, "Well, I got all this evidence, show it to me. Here it is," and the guy says, "Well, you really got nothing." Like there's no real evidence, right? Oh, but I got this other lawyer. Yeah, but I mean, you don't really got anything. Like you're there's nothing to do. You feel me? Right? And so,
Hmm.
like for you to for present a case, you have to have evidence on the contrary, right? And so, CD Powell, like fucking Giuliani, all these people were in the media, right, trying to get public opinion because they knew they're going to lose the cases, right? And there was something shady in Georgia or in Arizona, which had I think a Republican governor, I'm pretty sure they would have looked into it because their guy lost, and they did, and they didn't find anything. That's what I'm saying, right?
Right. I guess the question is, what exactly did they look into? and and again, between the law changing with COVID, there's just so much. I think here's what I think. Bottom line, the rush to force the idea that this was legitimate is precisely the reason why nobody thinks it was legitimate. The fact that there's this like, listen, don't question the results or else attitude is precisely why people still think there were problems.
Uh,
Until, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going
Oh,
to say, until certain things are looked at with regards to technologies and all that. And I don't know how much of it's been done. There's so much information out there. We all have lives, so there's only so much that we can take in. But that's been the prevailing attitude for the last 4 years with regards to the election. You can't question it. I don't know who the hell anybody is to tell anybody that you can't question anything.
no. But,
No, and I'm not
see,
saying
that's
it's you. I'm not saying it's you.
no.
But that has
I,
been
th-
the attitude. You
I
can't
think
question.
I think
If you question it, you're a denier. That's been the prevailing
I
attitude.
yeah. I think that's because of the first of all the media, right? Because the media exhausted this to the point of nauseum, right? So like you have a sort of like kind of like already like a reaction to when people start saying, hey, we have questions and stuff because it's something that's been debated over and over again in the court of public opinion, and so people already have their opinions, so you're not going to change those, right?
Hmm.
um Secondly, right, I think that because of the media and they're hyper, remember they're trying to sell views, and so when you consume the media, they're gonna get rich, right? And
Of course.
so when you see a conflict like this, right, it's not the same as when you look at Gore Bush, right? That was something that was like, it was covered, but it wasn't covered to the point where every single moment, every update was coming in, and you had 24-hour feeds of just all this, nonsense that people didn't really understand processes, right? So I used to one of the jobs that I took was as a vote processor,
Hmm.
right? And so those machines are kind of like we have to pre-test them before, right? And then they go out, and so we got to make sure that those things are kind of like secure. And so that's what you kind of do. So they pay people to put in ballots in there, right? Just to get, so they have like say 500 for red and 500 for blue, and they'll put them in there just to make sure that the 1,000 will split up 50-50, and they'll look at it, and you'll do it again the next day, and do it again the next day, and do it again the next day, just so that you can have like a record of that this machine is working the way it's supposed to, right? And that's in Dade County. You feel me? And
Hmm.
so that being said, like, those are the types of measures that at least Dade County was taking with their elections, right? And so I would assume that all the other counties do the same thing, all the other states do the same thing, because this is something that kind of is an institution of our democracy. We elect the people. The people have the power to elect their leaders. Once that trust is eroded, right, then you have these types of conversations, and that's what I think that's what's happening.
Hmm.
Trump did an amazing job at messaging this idea, and it's to the point where even Republicans who have doubts as far as like if they express any doubts as far as like um, that the election was a valid election, they also get ostracized by their party. So Kissinger and that lady from Iowa, Cheney's daughter, right? So it's like I think that we're getting to a point where where we have a decision to make. Right? Do we trust the systems that are in place? Do we spend time in making them better? Because we can't go back and relitigate this. You feel me? It makes no sense. You already have your opinion, and no matter what I say to you, you're gonna have your opinion. I mean, that's not gonna change. What will change is your faith in the future election, and that's already tainted. And that's a sad part of kind of like this whole story of like the 2020 fiasco. You know, this election and denying and validation and stuff like that. Like that's the issue. Like here you are, right? Like millions of other Americans who feel like your vote might not count because like it's going to be rigged, and you're never going to have that safety net unless there's something that happens, and that should happen at the local level. But I don't think there's any political will to do it.
Well,
So I want to address
that Biden is a fucking eunuch.
no.
That's what it says. Ozzy,
No, I know that, but
Guido, can you see these?
Yeah, I can see them.
You can see
you
them.
know what,
Okay.
Carlos, go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it, and I'm going to address.
Biden is a
Ukraine.
fucking eunuch. To hell with Ukraine. Zelensky is canceling elections and getting rid of anyone who opposes his agenda. Even the loony in North Korea stopped shooting missiles into the Sea of Japan. Trump would not allow this bullshit. This country is on the brink of a world war.
It was always on the brink of a world war.
Right. So
You-
I'm going to ask him one question, and I don't know if he's still on because he wrote this about 10
Hey,
minutes
it's been a
ago.
good topic. I mean, he
Oh,
likes this kind of stuff.
it's a good topic.
Hopefully, I
But-
mean, if he's been listening.
So I want to know where he got the thing with Ukraine, right? That Zelensky is canceling the elections and getting rid of anybody who opposes his agenda. All right. I could actually sit here and since I love to go against my brother on fucking everything and anything because he drives me up the goddamn wall, you know, on certain things. Ukraine, what Zelensky did was follow the Ukraine law. In a time of war, they do not have elections. So, and him canceling people out, actually, he did not. The guy's own party is the one that canceled them out because Zelensky's correct. What he is saying is he's not canceling elections. He's saying, hey, let's postpone the elections. It's different when you cancel to when you postpone. Because canceling is saying, hey, I'm not doing this no more. Postpone is, hey, we're going to do it later. Like this show, right? When we're going to do it on a Wednesday, we're not canceling the show. We are postponing it to another day.
yes.
So
I think that this is kind of like a convoluted information because Zelensky had very public falling outs with his generals.
Mhm.
And so that possibly is the part where he's saying getting rid of anyone who opposes his agenda. So his general, and I think his media general or something, a media guy, a couple of guys had gone. One I think was caught with corruption. You know, so I don't take that with a grain of salt. I'm not a person who lives there. But a couple of his generals got fired from their positions and they got replaced, which happens in war. I think Ulysses S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln had some type of scenario where he was fired and rehired or something like that. Simon Bolivar put his top general in jail. If you didn't know that,
Yeah.
So these things do happen, especially in the heat of war. The canceling of elections, it's again something that I guess is unique to Ukraine and their country. And I given the fact that you have all these things that are blowing up, you wouldn't want people waiting in line, like casting votes when you have a war coming in and the front is moving closer and backing off, right? So you don't want to have extra casualties and stuff. So
Just do mail-in ballots. What could go wrong?
I mean, people are actually like it's sad to see in Ukraine because like you see like life wanting to be normal, but it's impossible to be normal in a war zone, right? So the things that we take here for granted is not something that they have. It's a luxury over there, right? So I think that that message was completely kind of like there's a lot of little parts there, and so those little
Mhm.
parts just came together in that one sentence where it's like, hey, he's canceling elections and he's getting rid of people. The the North Korean dude, I don't know.
He was quiet.
He is
No, you know
quiet.
what?
It's,
He
he's
was
too
quiet.
He was
He's
quiet.
too
He was
quiet.
quiet.
He's too quiet.
He was quiet. And say what you want about the baby crossing that DMZ line. No one's ever done that. That was huge. That was huge. I don't know if it would have gone anywhere besides keeping him quiet like it did, but that was a massive moment actually. I don't think anyone's ever going to do that again.
I'm sure he's
I don't
gonna
think
walk that
anyone's
DMZ line again.
Wow, twice? Hmm.
Why not? He's made buddies with him.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean,
For all you
there-
know, they can talk on the phone all the time.
and so what? What is wrong with that though? If it's kept
I
him
didn't say
quiet,
anything
what's
wrong.
the issue?
I did not say anything's wrong with it. Did I?
No, but
I
you know
said
what?
for
A
all
lot
we
of people
know-
do. A lot of people do. They'll say, "Oh, he's friends with Kim Jong Un or whatever,"
Dude,
and
Carlos,
he was
this goes
quiet.
back to- but listen, this goes back to what our show is about. We don't have to be politically on the right side. Doesn't mean we can't be friends.
No, yeah. That's kind of like what's lost as far as like the conversations, as far as the civic conversations we should be having. This brings us kind of towards the middle, and we kind of have to hear each other a little bit and say, hey, this and this and this. It makes, I guess, it humanizes us a little more instead of saying, oh, he's the enemy or he's the enemy. Although I don't pick either side, right?
I mean, in
It-
my case, my brother's the enemy, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I guess as a nation, like we should stop trying to
We should-
vilify
Oh.
people who have different ideas, right? And that's
Oh,
kind of what
yeah.
Carlos was saying about cancel culture earlier, right?
Right.
It's this idea of like censoring through mass shaming,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's a part. I don't think that's a symptom of the social media environment that we're in, right? And
Right.
it's not really a symptom of like policies or anything like that, right?
Well, it's a policy used to essentially silence opposition. That's really the whole point of it. If you're canceled, you're quiet. It's an old tactic. I forgot what country used to use that. I'm being sarcastic. That's an old leftist tactic, and so.
Well, I mean, the right also cancels too, so it's not.
Now,
like,
yeah, they're just catching up now.
It's just it's not just this is the kind of where the conversation kind of devolves is when we start pointing tactics to one side or the other, right? And I'm not saying that because I'm sensitive. I'm just saying that because it's an observation.
Guido,
No.
you're sensitive.
Listen, bro. At the end of the day, both parties are a piece of shit.
Yes, I agree.
Well, yeah, and that's not going to change for a while because now they're both bitter.
I was hoping
and
that at least Andrew Yang was going to be the middle one, but no, he didn't do it.
what did happen to Andrew Yang? I mean, I didn't follow him because I honestly never took him seriously. There were a few Yangers out there, the Yang gang. Even one of my best friends was like all about Yang. Where he just vanished. What happened?
I guess he got discouraged from the election. He didn't really get as many votes as again,
Like when you're in a primary, right? Like they're always going to run numbers, and even though like so let's take it back to 2016. That was a huge movement with Bernie Sanders, right? And this whole
Right.
idea where the little man is not getting their fair shake, and I'm going to get the fair shake for the little man, right? So
Mhm.
everyone was behind Bernie Sanders, right? And what happened at the DNC with like Hillary Clinton is I think part of the reason why she lost, right? Was because like it was perceived as it was unfair to Bernie.
He got
Right.
railroaded, right?
Yeah, and it seemed like it was a coronation of like a Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida giving it to Hillary Clinton and telling her, "Hey, this is your party. Take us to the finish line," kind of, right? And Bernie got left in the cold. You feel me? And so from then on, I think for me, that's the defining moment where Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump, because those supporters that actually supported Bernie either sat out or voted for Trump, because they're like, everyone's like, they're not, the status quo doesn't fulfill anyone anymore, right? It has to be some type of change, right?
Mhm.
So that's where we're kind of speeding towards, right? Whether it's left or right, center, whatever, doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
It's a fundamental change that we all need. And I, like, I would wish that there would be another party or a coalition of parties to have different perspectives, but you can't take the money out of politics, and these are the two parties that we got. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I see the case for and against having more parties. It could be dangerous when the fringes get involved, but at the same time, there's a stalemate with what we have.
and
So-
nobody's doing anything.
No, and they're not going to, not for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
right now the red hats are pissed and they want heads to roll. Lots of heads are going to roll before somebody says, "All right, enough." So I don't know. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. Final
Okay.
thoughts. I don't know, man. I'm kind of spent. We have talked it. We have spoken it. Again, my final thought is this. Dear America, what you witnessed here for 2 hours is how it should be. None of us agreed on this goddamn show, and none of us hate each other. Get over it. I'm done.
That's true. Yeah. Well, final thought for me would be, yeah, I agree completely with Carlos. Like, we should be talking more and airing our differences, and not like painting the other the enemy and canceling each other. Right? Like, different ideas are good, and the real threat is automation and AI, and so we're kind of glossing over that.
Damn it. And we didn't get into that.
We didn't get into that. You know
We
what? I
need
think we
Guido
might have
back
to
next
bring you
week.
back.
We
Yeah.
need Guido back next week. Guido,
We gotta
if you're
bring you
down
back
with this,
another
man,
time.
if you're down with this, man, I mean, hell, come back next week, because that's a whole lot of talking right there that we need
Yeah,
to get
I know.
into.
There's gonna be a
about
lot of teaching, I feel.
how to defeat. It could be, but listen, I don't want to end up with a bunch of needles in my neck pretending I know kung fu and shit. So,
Look, man, we when we're on here, we tend to, especially, I think that when we started the show back up now, right? Compared to how we first started, we had our script, what we were going to talk about, how we spoke about it. All right. And that's what we went on, whether it was one topic, 2 topics, 3 topics, 4 topics, 5 topics, 10 topics. At one point we had a topic per every, in an hour, we had a topic
every 10 minutes or
every
something.
5-10 minutes. Okay. I can tell you that I'm looking at a show that we did in the beginning of 2023. Okay. January 10th. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 topics in a matter of an hour. Good show. We had a script, and we did it for an hour. Now there is no script.
Nah,
We literally, I used to
don't
go
need
around
no
looking
stinking
at
script.
shows. You know what? I'll save this story for our 100th episode, because we're getting really close to it. We're on 97.
Bro, look at what your brother shows up with at the end of all this.
Yeah, that's why I'm not even posting it. I'm not even gonna put it, because here, hold on. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to post it. How do you feel? How do you feel?
Right. If there was,
Wait, I lost this. I'm sorry.
if there was
How do you
ever a
feel about
thought,
Biden taking a dump on Normandy?
if there was
didn't even-
ever
Wow.
a final thought, it's that one right there, man.
And you know what? This is what this show's about. Speaking our thoughts, speaking our minds, and we discuss it. Carlos, maybe you could join us next week, and maybe,
Yeah. Carlos, stop hanging out in the comment section and get your ass in here.
yeah, I mean, I would put him on the show if he chooses to come on, but
As long as
I
you
don't
can
know,
keep your self-talk in check.
who, me?
You,
As long as I can keep myself in check, I can.
your
I mean,
self-talk, your self-talk in check. You got to
You
make
know
sure
what?
you apply the principles.
you see this? This is one of those
Look,
principles.
look.
Hold on, I'm not
That's
there.
good.
I'm trying to
That's
read the
good.
show.
He says
Oh, that's-
challenge
that's-
challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
You know what? So I'm gonna have to get a book. I'm gonna be doing this. I think at Carlos, I'm gonna give you the reins next week,
Oh
and
wow.
I'm just gonna do this all day.
There you go.
because
All right. I will
this
be
is
the
one of those
moderator.
Things that you just
Not a
do,
problem. Not
you
a
know,
problem.
Every finger to the thumb, and that's, you just gotta cool down and take it easy. But hey,
Hey,
look,
Excellent. Excellent.
Did you guys see that interview with Tucker Carlson and Bukele from
Nope.
Salvador?
Yes.
Yo,
I saw parts of it. Yeah, I saw parts of it.
oh,
Yes.
dude,
I saw that one, and I also saw the one with Milei. That guy, I love that
Oh.
guy. I love that guy. He's a
Yeah.
badass. He's
no,
a
but
bukele
Bukele really impressed me. Bukele really impressed me.
yeah, he's hardcore.
impressive.
He's
a
like,
smart guy.
I mean, you gotta have some balls to do that, because Lord knows, I'm not an expert in El Salvador or its issues, but I can basically deduct that the majority of politicians throughout their history usually bent their will to the cartels and the gangs down there, and that's why it was a constant cycle of shit for years down there. And this guy shows up, he's like, nope, F no, everyone's going down. And he's done it. He's done it, and he's all about Bitcoin, and he's yeah, he's definitely he's caused some serious waves, good ones though. And yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, that was a good interview.
Yeah.
So Guido, thank you for coming on. Great conversation.
Thank you guys for having me.
Guido, you realize we can call him Guido forever, and he will answer to that name now. Guido, he's gonna look around like, wait a minute.
Listen. I used to call him other things that I'm not going to.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
But hey,
Guido
look,
is officially a nickname, and he's gonna answer to it.
yes, he will. But hey, look, great show. Guido, do me a favor. Share this show with your friends.
Yeah, for sure.
Share it with your enemies. Share it with your frenemies. All right. And you know what? Just share it with whoever you feel needs to get a listen to it. Because and we bring anybody on. There's no shame in bringing people on unless we know you're going to show us feet.
Oh my
So
god.
that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a story for another day, man.
But hey, look, to you guys that are listening, if you want to start your own podcast, reach out to me. I'll get you together with Joe from CMG, Clovercrest Media Group, and you
The
can start your own
Overlord
show.
himself.
All right. Catch you guys next week, same night, hopefully, same channel, hopefully. Might be a different platform. But
What are you teasing here, Frank? What is going on here?
don't worry about it. You'll see.
All right.
Catch you guys next week.
Adios.
Speaking the Real Podcast. Vamos a mandarle ahí a Speaking of Real Podcast. Oye, ¿te enteraste del nuevo podcast? ¿Cuál es? De Speaking Real. Speaking is Real, normal. Oye, mi inglés está malo, pero Speaking is Real es lo mejor, mi hermano. Vengo descargando de antemano para que sepa. Si quieres un podcast bueno, mire Speaking, que se respeta. Para que lo sepas, están duros y le meten. Speaking Real, pana, no hay billete, pero sí hay talento para demostrar. Y cuando estemos arriba, todito vamos a ayudar.
Thank you for watching. Speaking with You is brought to you by Clovercrest Media. Don't
forget to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. See you next week.